Hello my fellow creators, and welcome to my YouTube channel, and welcome to episode number 4 of Follow-Up Friday. So I had some subscribers ask to see if I could make a card box, a box to hold A2 cards using 8.5 by 11 paper. On a previous Follow-Up Friday, I made a card box using 12 by 12 paper. So I did some testing and I was able to make one. Let me show you. I made this one using 8.5 by 11 paper. It is as tall as, I think, pretty much as tall, but it is a little narrower. It's a little shorter too than the one I made with the 12 by 12. So this one I made with 12 by 12, and this one I made with 8.5 by 11. So you can see it's a little narrower, so it'll fit a few less cards. This one I was able to fit 8 cards and envelopes. This one I was able to fit 6 cards and envelopes. So it's still pretty a good substantial size box. So let me kind of show you how I made that with 8.5 by 11. Now I'm going to use this Halloween Party 12 by 12 paper to decorate my box. And if you saw my video yesterday, I made 12 cards. Let me show you using the cut aparts from this collection. So I'll link to that video in the description box if you want to go back and take a look at that video of how I made those cards, because I'll be able to put half of those cards in the box once we're done. So I have selected the papers I'm going to use, and here's all my dimensions I wrote down for myself because I want to kind of have my guide for myself. Now I will list all these dimensions in the description box, so you don't have to worry about trying to screenshot that. And then I kind of sketched for myself and wrote down how I'm cutting each piece of paper. So this is the 110-pound cardstock just from Michael's Recollections paper. So it's a nice thick cardstock, which I like because it'll make it a real sturdy box. So I'm using that. I'm using black for my box, and then I have some orange of the 65-pound cardstock for my matte layers. And then I do have my pattern paper to decorate my box with. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and cut all my pieces, and then in my first video where I made my box using the 12 by 12 cardstock, I built the box first and then I decorated it. This time I'm going to decorate the box first and then assemble the box, okay? So you can kind of see both ways of doing it. So let me start by cutting the cardstock, and then we'll cut our pattern paper. And my workspace always shrinks. I start with a nice big open area, and then slowly but surely it shrinks down. So you are going to need 2 pieces of 8.5 by 11 cardstock. And so my first piece, I'm going to cut to 6 inches by 11. So here I'm going to cut, so this is already 11 because it's 8.5 by 11. I'm going to cut this to 6, okay? So this piece is 6 by 11. That leaves this piece, which is 2.5 inches. And so I need 2 pieces that are 2.5 by 5 inches. So I'll cut this one to, let me make sure it's 2.5 by 5 inches. 2.5 by 5, yes. So there's 1, and here's 2. Now here, if you happen to have scraps for your next piece, you can go ahead and use that. But I'm going to start with a fresh piece of paper. And so for this piece, I'm going to cut a piece that is 3.5 inches by 6 inches. So first I'm going to cut at my 3.5 inch mark here. And then I will cut to 6 inches. And then I have these pieces that I'll save for a different project. All right. Now those are the pieces for my box. Now let me cut my matte layers. So for my matte layers, I'm going to use the orange paper that I have from Recollections. So for my matte layers, I need, and I made my own notes here, 2 pieces that are 5 3/4 by 4 1/4. So let me see if this scrap is big enough. No, it's not. So I'll start with a fresh piece. I might be able to use that scrap for something else. So I need this at 5 3/4, and I need it 4 1/4. So I need 2 at 4 1/4. So I should have 2. So that's those 2. Then I need 2 at 1 1/4 by 4 1/4. So let's see if this one is at 4 1/4, slightly larger. So this one's green. There's my 4 1/4. So this was a scrap I had. So I need at 1 1/4. So let's see. I'm going to cut this at 2 1/2 and then down to 1 1/4. So I'll get 2 pieces. Okay, there's those 2 pieces. And then I need 5 3/4 by 1 1/4. So I'm going to cut this at 5 3/4. And then I need 1 1/4, so I'm going to go to 2 1/2. Wait a minute, this is 5 3/4. Okay, 2 1/2. And then 1 1/4. So I'll have 2 of those pieces. 1 1/4. Okay, so there's those 2 pieces. And then I need 5 3/4 and 1 13/16. I know. Could have just made it at 2, right? So let's see. That won't be big enough. Well, this one? No. So let me grab this piece. So 5 3/4 and 1, and I'm going to cut just right here, 13/16. So let's see, that's 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13/16. Okay, so that's 1, 13, and that's 2. Okay, so those are my matte layers. I can move this out of the way now. Then I need my pattern paper, so that's what I'm going to decorate my pieces with. So I have gone ahead and put on each of the sheets what I need. So let me start with, I'm going to use this side for pieces A1 and B1, so my front and back of the box. So I need 2 pieces that are 5 5/8 by 4 1/8. So I need it to be 4 1/8 tall. So because this is top to bottom, I need 4 1/8 tall. So 4 1/8. Where's my measurements? By 5 5/8. So there's 5 4/8, and that's 5/8. Okay, I needed 2. Okay, so there's those 2 pieces. So that's pieces A and B. Then my next 2 pieces are going to be the sides of my box, and I need these to be 4 1/8 tall And this one I guess isn't really directional, but I'm going to go with this way anyway. 4 1/8 by 1 1/8, and I need 2 of those. So 1 1/8. That's 1. 1 1/8. Sometimes it's hard for me to see when I'm looking kind of in this direction because I'm not directly over my guillotine cutter. Okay, so then for my next pattern paper, this one is going to be the top of the box and the inside top of the box. So this one I need to be 1 1/8 in height. So 1 1/8. That doesn't seem right. Where's the top of my box? I guess it is right. 1 1/8. And then my width is going to be, and you can use, for these boxes, the dimensions are such that you could actually use 6 by 6 paper. And 5 5/8. So 5 5/8. And we need 2, so 5 5/8. Okay, so that's that one. Then for this one, we need this to be 1 11/16. So that's 11/16 right there, I think. By 5 5/8. So and 2 of those as well. Again, you could use a different pattern paper for each side if you wanted. You could not even use pattern paper or matte layers. You could maybe do some stenciling on cardstock or use an embossing folder. No, there's a lot of different ways you can embellish a box. Okay, now on my sample box I made, you'll see I kind of did a decorative little corner here. I'm not going to do that on this one. I'm just going to leave it kind of straight corners. I want to do that for this one just to make it a little bit easier. I'll do the scoring on this after I add my pattern paper to the matte layers. So let me get these kind of in the order I need them to make sure I add the right paper to the right matte layer. So this one should go here, I believe. Then this one here. And this one here. And these here. Now this is double-sided paper, so if I wanted, I could kind of switch it up and flip it over to the back side. But I'm going to just leave it be. Now, here, for my other box, I did use some of this score tape, kind of to make it nice and sturdy, make sure it sticks. So you can do that. Or you can use liquid glue, you can use a combination, which I think I used a combination of both. So that's entirely up to you. But I think the score tape and liquid glue combination kind of makes for a nice permanent adhesion, and so your paper isn't coming off. Because if you have the little box to store your cards in, it's going to be opening and closing and opening and closing if people are going to be taking cards in and out. So, you know. Okay. that there. Oh, that's a cute side too. Do I want to do that instead? Let me see. See, this is where I kind of tie myself up. Now I want the candy on that side. I'm always second guessing myself on how to decorate things. Now, I don't typically make Halloween cards or too much Halloween stuff. If I do anything, it's because I'm doing something for my grandkids for, you know, their class or just for them, for trick-or-treat type stuff for them. But I thought, you know, I'd change things up and do something a little different today. Oh, cute. Look, that had the little bats on the back, but I'm going to try and stick with my original paper choices today for a change. Okay. Now I don't know if I mentioned it already, but I'll try and link to anything that I'm using that's still available in the description box. My score tape I just get off of Amazon, so I'll link to what I buy. And this paper was in a warehouse sale, so I don't even know if it's available anymore because I bought it several years ago. So who knows at this point. Okay. And then I'll probably use some goodies from the sticker sheet to help embellish the box, but we'll see what I grab from there. Okay. So let's see, what did I do with my book folder? So I like to burnish this down just to make sure that the tape is sticking well. Now, if you have any other ideas for my follow-up Fridays, anything you'd like me to follow up on, be sure to leave that in the comments so that I can add that to my list. And I will be sure to follow up, I promise. It may take me a minute or two to get to it, but I will follow up. Okay, so let me get this. Actually, let me do a dry fit. I always forget to do that dry fit part to make sure I cut it right. Yeah, that should work. Okay. And then I'll also add liquid glue to this. So maybe I'll just play a little music as I put all these pieces together and speed up the video just a bit so you don't have to sit through all the parts of me taking the release paper off the tape and adding glue. let's get to scoring our cardstock here. So on the 6 by 11 inch piece, along the 6-inch side, you're going to score at 4.5, 6, and 10.5. Okay, then on the 3.5 by 6-inch piece, along the 3.5 inch side, you're going to score at 1.5. So you're going to see that it's not exactly equal sides, well, you can't really see on black, but one side's smaller and one side's larger. Then on the pieces that are 2.5 by 5, on the 2.5 inch side, you're going to score at 1/2 inch and 2 inches. Then you'll rotate it, and along the 5-inch side, you're going to score at 1/2 inch. I'm going to do that for both pieces. So 1/2 inch, 2 inches, rotate, and 1/2 inch again. Okay. Oops. What did I do? Did I go off? I went off. That's okay. So now we can go and fold and burnish along all our score lines. So fold and burnish all of these. Before I put these together, though, I will add all my decorative pieces here, because it's just easier to add them before you put the box together, because you have a flat surface to add them to, and then to glue onto, it's easier because you can burnish onto a flat surface. Okay, here, let me show you this one where one piece is actually wider. So see here, one piece, let me show you with the one piece is wider than the other. So this piece is a little bit wider than this piece. Okay, and then let's fold and burnish. And this is really thick cardstock, so I'm kind of trying to be real good about burnishing down to get a good crease. Okay, so this is going to be our front and this is going to be our back. So before I put my box together, and I'll show you how to put it together, but I am going to add my decorative pieces. So let me get my score tape onto the back of these as well. And then we're in the home stretch, guys. Then we can assemble our box using 8.5 by 11 paper. Because I know not everybody has 12 by 12. Not everybody is cuckoo like me and has all the sizes of paper. So again, as I'm putting the tape on here and adding these decorative pieces to the black cardstock, I'll just play a little bit of music and speed it up a bit, and then we'll come back and assemble the box. Now you'll see as I am putting my pattern paper on here, I'm kind of flipping the box back and forth because I'm making sure I'm putting it on in the right direction. So I'm kind of looking at how the box is going to be when I assemble it and making sure I am getting it on there in the right direction. If you're using non-directional paper, that really wouldn't matter. Okay, so then this is going to be the side. This will be the bottom. It'll go here. So then this would be the top. And that will go there. Same thing for this one. And then this is going to actually be attached here. So this is going to be our top that goes here. Now the inside one I can't put on until I assemble this because it's going to cover up the seam there. So I'll put that on after. That'll be last. But these ones I can't put on. But I need to, again, be sure that I have them on in the right direction. And see which one I want for the inside and which one I want for the front. Okay, so I think I want this one that says Halloween on it to go right in the front. Okay, time to speed it back up. Alrighty, now we got to get to starting to assemble our box. So what I am going to do is on the bottom corners here, because this is where we're going to put our box together, our sides to our box, we're going to cut out these little squares on the corners and kind of at a miter, so a small angle. We'll do that for both sides. Okay. And then for these tops, I like to miter them ever so slightly. So I go right at where the fold is and then just go down, just slightly. There we go. Okay, so we can attach our sides. And to do that, I'm going to add some more of the score tape here. Oh, I need my narrower score tape, I think. Is that going to work? Barely. Okay, I'm going to have to be real good about getting this just on the edge. I think I ran out of my 1/4 inch score tape. This should do the trick though. And then while we're at it, I'm going to add score tape to this. Now, do I miter that one? I don't remember. No, I didn't miter that one, I don't think. Let me add the score tape right to the edge here. That's going to be what joins our lid. In fact, we can join our lid first. I think it'll be fine. Our next step, we're going to add this right here where there's two score lines here. And so we'll take the score tape off of our little flap here. And make sure there's no tape hanging over. The best thing to do is kind of line it up. So I try and line up my score lines and then line up my edge here. Make sure everything is lined up so that when we fold up our box, it is square. So see, when I fold this down, I can see if this score line is lined up here and if this score line is lined up there. Then this is where we close up our box. So see the sides here, we will line up with our front and our back, and then our box will be all assembled. So I will start with, let's see if I do one side or just the front first. I'll do one side. Okay, let's start with one side at a time. So I'm going to pop up, kind of fold these in, pop up our back, make sure it's kind of square here. I know it's hard to see at the angle you're at, but I'll kind of lay it down right now. So making sure we're square in the front and the back. That's why I add the liquid glue. It gives me just enough time to shift the paper over a bit. And then I can, oh, there we go. And then burnish it. Okay, so now that that side's done, we can do our other side. Then really it's just a matter of adding my little closure, and I'm just doing a Velcro closure. Now if you wanted to do a magnetic closure, you could do that. You would want to add those magnets before you add your pattern paper layers though. So keep that in mind when you're adding your paper. Oh, there's a little bit too much tape there. My hands are always covered in glue. There we go. And then I'll kind of reach in and burnish my bone folder, flip it, and adjust there real quick before I burnish. Burnish that. Let me get my little Velcro closures. These are just some little ones I have in my stash from Dollar Tree. So let me see. I use 2. So I'll use, kind of see where this is going to close, making sure it's square. Right there. I'll get my second one. Okay, so I have these stickers. I could do like this thing that says Happy Haunting and maybe mat it on some orange paper, put it here. I think I might do that. Do happy, how would that look? Or do we do too cute to spook? I like that one too, too cute to spook. Oh, that one's cute. I like that one. So let me grab, let's see if I had any small scraps of that orange cardstock left. If not, I'll just grab, let's see. I do have a piece here. So what I can do is put that on there. I could just leave it as, no, I'm going to fussy cut around it. So it mimics the shape of that sticker. And then I'll attach that to that flap. So it'll be kind of a decorative piece to the front of the box. And then I'll show you, I'll add those cards to the inside. That would be a nice little gift to give to someone, or if you do craft fairs, that would be a nice craft fair item. I don't really do craft fairs. My husband keeps telling me, you really should. You can sell your stuff. You have cute stuff. And I've had friends tell me that I should, but I don't know. I don't think I have, number one, enough inventory. And number two, I don't know, I think I'd have a hard time pricing things. Like, what do you charge for handmade crafts? Okay, so then that can go there. Let me see. Maybe right in the middle, so it sticks up just slightly. Yeah. So I'm going to put some more sport tape right in the middle of this one. So here, that should work. Just to keep it in place, you should see all the release paper I have off to my side here, friends. Okay, so too cute to spook. Maybe a little bit more towards the top there. I have a little extra piece here, which is my top. There. Okay. Oh, and some liquid glue. I almost forgot that part. Okay. So we'll put it right about here. That's cute. Then I could add some cuteness to the sides here. Maybe a little tag here that says eek, right? And then a little tag on the other that says trick or treat. Then maybe something on the back. Let's see, what could go on the back? We could put what about this one? Which way to the candy? Right there. That's it. That's it. Let me add my cards to there so you can see the cards that I can fit in there. Okay, guys? So we can fit 6 for sure. So let me see. Here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'll grab 6 and 6 envelopes. Now these are flat cards. There's no dimension to them. But I bet if there was a little bit of dimension, you could still fit them in there. Okay, so see, you have plenty of room. In fact, let me see. I bet I could fit all 12 that I made if I just am real gentle and real careful. Let me see. Again, these are flat cards, no dimension on them. See, I was able to fit all 12 in there. Hold on, my envelopes aren't straight. And I'm the kind of person that will bother. I was able to fit all 12. Tightly, snugly, but they fit. So see, I did it. I made that box using 8.5 by 11 paper. Here's the one I made using the 12 by 12. So they're slightly different in size, just ever so slightly, but they're so cute either way. And you can fit your A2 cards in here. Alrighty, friends. Thank you so much for sticking around to the end. And thank you for the wonderful ideas for my follow-up Friday videos. Keep them coming, friends. As always, have a beautiful, safe, and creative day. Thanks for watching. Bye.